Okay. Good evening. Welcome to this meeting of Santa Fe ISD Board of Trustees. We believe it's important this meeting be conducted in an organized and efficient manner. To that end, we'd like to outline some ground rules for all of us to follow during the course of the evening. First and foremost, recognize this is a board's meeting. By law, most of the discussion and all of the voting must be done in open session, but public participation by necessity must be limited to that part of the agenda that is reserved for public input. Occasionally, the board may seek comment or clarification from an administrator in attendance or even from someone in the audience. It's the board's prerogative to seek information from non-board members as it chooses. However, unsolicited participation from the audience is inappropriate. Secondly, at times it may seem we're voting on issues of importance with little or no discussion. Please be advised that all board members get a packet of background information about the various subjects on tonight's agenda several days in advance of actually coming here to participate in the meeting. After receiving our packets, all board members have and often exercise the opportunity to contact various school administrators to ask specific questions in an effort to better understand the issues on which they're expected to vote. We thank you for being interested in your school district as witnessed by your presence here tonight. We encourage your active participation in the educational process of your children. We appreciate your cooperation in helping us conduct the business of Santa Fe ISD in an organized and civilized manner, and we hope you enjoy the evening. And with that, Mr. Davenport, would you lead us in an invocation and our pledges, please?
Yes. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for everything that you've done for us. And most importantly, thank you for forgiving us for all of our sins. Dear Lord, just ask that as we go into the summer that we have the right wisdom and the right words and the right thought process to move this district forward into the future in a way that provides our staff and students with the very best that we can provide them with. Dear Lord, just ask as we leave our separate ways tonight that you watch over each and every one of us, and we ask that this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledges, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any action from closed session tonight?
Yes, sir. And I apologize ahead of time if I hack up any of these names. I move that we employ Jeff DeWillis, Denise Baumberger, Daniel Groman, Nalani Hare, Olivia Hinosa, Christina Jacks, Rahani Kidd, Christy Loy, Tiffany McKinney, Sarah Nava, Zachary Norman, Shelley Ostermeyer, Paul Patricio, Lauren Petrillo, Sierra Rose, and Jeremy Stalin as teacher for 187 days. Jordan Goldman as associate principal for 220 days. Brandy Evans and Natasha Wolf as a registered nurse for 187 days. Leanne Alato and Kimberly Pruitt as wellness counselors for 205 days for the 2019-2020 school year.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the hiring of these personnel. Any other questions or comments?
No, sir.
If not, cast your votes, please. Let me get the screen turned on. There we go. And it is passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, do we have any other action from closed session?
No, sir.
All right, with that, Ms. Hanser, do you have some recognitions tonight? Very much. Okay, with that, we will move into our information items and start with a few monthly reports.
Yes, sir. We have monthly reports for your review in your packet, and I think we can start with Mr. Atkins giving us some project updates on the elementary school and other projects going on around the district.
Yeah, we got a few projects going on. How's everybody this evening? All right. Start off with elementary school. They are working 7 days a week trying to get things wrapped up as fast as they can. They are working on the exterior piece now. The interior's coming along. They started putting flooring in the upstairs last week. I think they were getting carpet down starting this week in the classrooms. The gym floor is supposed to start this week, assuming the moisture in the concrete was within specifications. You'll see there's some lots of wall finishes up and things like that. The terrazzo's just about completed. They're starting to build out some of the more detail work in the library with the kiva and things like that. So it's really coming along. Substantial completion was supposed to be June 20th. They're gonna push that back. We're pushing that back to July 8th, which is the first day furniture's due to show up. It was some fluff days we had in there to allow them to clean up some stuff, and so we're not gonna really feel a pain by pushing their substantial completion back by those many days. So, and we're working with them real close on making sure the inside is done for the furniture by that date. And then the outside will be progressing throughout the month of July and will be completed by end of July. So then we'll work on punch lists and things like that, July, August timeframe.
So we should be nervous, not paranoid.
Yes, I'm not nervous right now. Right now,
Supposed to open
You're
in 3 days, though.
you're under oath, Bob.
As he laughs.
not nervous yet. So
Has Miss Martin approved all these changes?
she's in our construction meeting, so she's hearing this too. So no surprises. No, we're in good shape. And then on the other projects, of course, we started the parking lots. They actually mobilized in Thursday before graduation. As you can see, they are rocking and rolling. Lost today, of course, because of weather, but they'll be out here tomorrow working. They're planning on pouring concrete on this one next week and junior high next week. So they're really moving on that stuff. We hit a few snags here and there, snagged a few things here and there, but everything's been fixed and repaired, and they've been real good working with us on that stuff. So the sewer line repairs going. They get the manholes Wednesday, so they'll start setting those Thursday. They've got to do a tie-in to the existing manhole, and we're gonna move some pipes around in that. So we'll take the school out of service Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's the only window we have, and hopefully it should be almost wrapped up by Sunday next week.
Are they moving the utilities that go through the junior high parking lot?
We're not moving them. We had to lower the electrical that fed the lights in both parking lots. And we found we knew a water line cut across. We didn't know where. So
Also with the overhead.
Do now.
Phone line, the overhead phone.
so the overhead phone line, yes, they're supposed to be moving it up.
Don't leave the poles there.
The half poles we're trying to get out of there because those are our poles, and we're trying to get them to move over. So that line
There's
is
no way
ours.
while we got that tore up to get underground conduit out there and
It would be nice if they would offer that, but they haven't come and offered it. So the only people feeding off that line that we know of and that they know of right now is HEB and us, and we don't need it anymore. But then it continues back along that back road and then turns back towards 1764. And so we're wondering if it's feeding some of those business parks on 1764. They're researching that, so.
well, that would be nice. I mean, now's the time to get.
I mean, we can't get the power
quickly.
poles out of there because that is the main service for the junior high and for that group of buildings that's back there, but we can definitely get the half poles out before they pour, which is our goal right now. So, and then RJ Woolham, they're already framing walls back up. They got the plumbing underground inspection today. They're gonna pour all that back on Wednesday. They've already one-sided the walls in the office, one-sided some of the walls in areas where the plumbing, they could get their wall stood, so that's progressing very well as well. So, and then the roofing project is complete, so. And then the move is, we're moving a lot of stuff. We've got 20-something kids and teachers that we're keeping really, really busy, so.
So running 7 days a week, there's no way to speed it up now, or what would slow you down?
I mean, they're pushing on our contractors to get more people out there, but, that's really, they've probably running a 120-man crew out there every day, so, or more.
Weather's not gonna delay it though now?
No, the only thing weather's gonna affect is the outside stuff, but it's dry enough now that we can absorb a rain like we had over Sunday and today, and probably get back on and work it tomorrow, so, the site work is that they were supposed to start irrigation today. They were supposed to start fencing today, working from north to south. And so most of the site has been dressed. I mean, there's still some big piles of dirt they're going to move around and lose on site, but they, I don't see that as being a big area. They probably 70% on the flat work outside. They've got some of the big areas inside the 2 courtyards. They've got a lot of that draining and going where it needs to go drain-wise, so that helps as well.
Any updates on G&A and
So G&A was supposed to start today. They're supposed to move some barrels in. There's a gas line conflict we're trying to resolve. We had paid CenterPoint many, many months ago to lower it, and then there was talk that we may not have to have a conflict with a storm. So we're talking to the engineer to see if we can raise it up a little bit, the storm and flatten out the RCP pipe to make that work. So,
the district is, or the city is?
well,
since they're
we're
doing that
working with the city's contractor on all that because we are we hired the engineer for that road, so we're working with them. So,
Other questions for Bob? Thank you, sir.
okay.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, Ms. Junko, you have a quarterly investment report for us?
Listen back up, I guess.
We're going to tag team this one this evening, and we're going to do a little explanation on cash management, because investments and depositories are really just a small piece of the overall picture of cash management. So we wanted to make sure everyone understood what happens with cash, how does it come into the district, and what do we do with it, and how do we safe keep it. Some of the depository history is years ago, the state of Texas decided that the best way to get school districts money is through the ACH process instead of writing them a check and mailing it to them. So they require that all the school districts have a depository so they could deposit those funds into that. And normally at that time, it was basically a traditional bank. Well, we've evolved over the many years, and now we have institutions that pull money for investment purposes. And through the Public Funds Investment Act, state agencies have come together and created pools that take school districts and municipalities' money and go invest it in the terms and conditions stated in the Public Investment Fund Act with small, low risk investments, basically commercial paper, agencies, CDs, very small portion of the actual market and a very conservative portion. But what it does is it allows us to get a higher interest rate because we commit to leaving our money there a little longer, and they have a little more restrictive rules of transferring funds, like you need to give them 24-hour notice if it's a large amount of money, and then you can transfer up to 11 o'clock in the morning, and after that it needs to wait till the next day. So there's some things that the pools allow us to do to get a little bit higher interest rate, and so I wanted to show you that based on your report here. We put the interest rates here in this column under rates. Well, our investment pools, which that's their specialty to invest money, is going to be First Public, also known as Lone Star, Texas Term, and Texas Class. So as these pools became more and more popular and they became used by so many school districts, TEA said, well, maybe we need to catch up with the times. And though we would want school districts to have a depository, we're not going to require that we send our funds to that depository. You can elect now where you would like state funds to go. So since I've been here the last 5 years, one of the first things I did was to change so all of our funds from the state go directly to our pooled accounts, which earn higher interest rate. So the way we structured, and many other school districts do the same thing, is they leave their money in that investment pool until they need it. And so a day before payroll, they'll bring it down. A day before our accounts payable ACH, we'll bring it down. Otherwise, we leave it there. So we just really need enough money to live on in our depository bank and our financial institution. Well, as we have changed over the years, what we've realized is sometimes we have to merge and divide up the task and conquer, and so we have some funds here because it's better suited. We might have funds at another institution because they're better suited there, and then across our pool. So it's almost now like a financial group or financial partners. So that's kind of an overall of how the cash looks and how the cash works. I would like to also take the time And I'd also like to let you all know that we do most of our business with First Public, but when I came 5 years ago, we actually did business with all three of the pools, First Public, Texas Term, and Texas Class. I think I have been doing business with First Public now for about 15, 16 years. And the reason why we have a tendency to lean in that direction is because every now and then, maybe once a year, something odd will happen, and I'll be at the farm, Mary Ann will be here, and it takes two people to move money. And they have to call and verify it, and they call the office phone number. Well, I'm not there. So we have developed a relationship over the years that Deanna will call my cell phone because it's been on the records for all this time and it hasn't changed. And I'll give her enough information that she will verify that, yes, this is a transfer. Because it is a good thing that two people have to verify millions of dollars being moved. So we definitely like that being in place. But we've just learned each other, and we have been working with each other. Before I came to Santa Fe, I had worked with J.P. Morgan Chase, and I worked with Sterling Bank, and I worked with Wood Forest Bank. I had never worked with Frost. I had never worked with Texas First. So these were different experiences when we came here. But we've definitely built partnerships with them, and they have definitely helped us throughout the years. In terms of cash management, I don't do a lot of the banking. I don't transfer money. I will be the second approver, but I'm not the one moving the money around for payroll or wherever it might need to go. That is basically Mary Ann's job to oversee the daily operations. What I do is I check the confirmation statements that I get. I check to see if money is moving at the right time, because you can figure out if large sums are moving and you don't have an investment maturing and you don't have a payroll, what's going on. I oversee the bank reconciliations to make sure that they're done, that they're accurate, and there's no outstanding entries, and the months are closed. So mine is more of an oversight. So very seldom do I ever get on the banking side of it. I do log in. I do know how. I do understand the statements, and I do read the accounts analysis. But the overall operations is left up to Mary Ann. And she oversees a lot of our staff who's here tonight, so I'd like to introduce them. Donna Foss creates our AP files for our ACH files. Joel O'Neill is here, and she is our payroll specialist, and she creates the ACH file for payroll. She sets up all the direct deposits, and she troubleshoots any kind of delivery issues. Sometimes the payments get kicked back, and so she brainstorms and she troubleshoots all of those. Becky Wright is our benefits coordinator and risk management. And she creates the ACH files, and she troubleshoots all the employee benefits and paying the vendors of those benefits. Robin Tilitsky is not with us this evening, but she reconciles our cash deposit, our tax cash deposits, and our deposits and transfers between the tax office and the bank accounts. We also have cash deposits to Texas First, and Kathy Mulliken is the one who reconciles all of our bank reconciliations at the end of the month and our work P-card programs, and she closes those out so we can finish our month. So that's basically who does what in the business office with the cash. Again, like I said, we transfer a lot of our funds from our pool accounts into our depository or into the bank that we need to use it to then make the transaction, but they don't normally just sit in the bank, and we normally let them sit in the pool until we need it. Some of the dynamics that impact our bank accounts, we have clear checks that we have to make sure that when we write checks or we send out an ACH file, it's covered 100%. So that means it has to wait until everything clears, which gives us a lot of volume inside of our bank accounts when we send out large files. That's one of the things that you'll notice under Texas First. Some of the money that is still in there is to cover those clear checks that have never cleared. We have 2 years. If they don't get cleared, we try to rewrite them. We try to call the vendor to say, we have a check outstanding on our list. Was it misplaced? Do we need to replace it? We have employees that somehow they just don't get their checks to the bank. We have some that don't arrive when we mail them. So we have lots of different reasons that we have to avoid and reissue, or at some point we just have to send it off to the state. So that's done through our end of the year audit process. We also have a one-to-one correspondence between the pool account and your bank account. So when you go to the pool and you say, we need $1.2 million for payroll, it just doesn't randomly send it out. It has to have a setup between where to send the money and who to receive it. It has to have a partnership there. So it's a one-to-one correspondence. So it's a little tricky to set up and to transfer between different pull accounts, you'd have to normally almost set up a whole new bank account to take that transaction and give it a unique identifier. We also have to create general ledger accounts for all of our cash accounts, and everything you create, you get to balance, so you get to reconcile it. So there's some activity there. We also transfer between institutions, especially when we go with our tax deposits, and we need to also help with the water district. We also set up printing for checks, and we have to order checks. So anytime you have a new bank account number or you have changes in the signers of the bank account, because as you rotate positions and you sign on checks, we have to change that out as well. So we have some maintenance that we have to do with our daily operations to keep up with it. One of the neat things that we have with our investments, and Marianne will cover this when she talks in depth about the investment report, is that we have a safekeeping with Frost. And what that allows us to do, since it's an in-house safekeeping, is our money stays in our account drawing interest until the security is delivered. So it's a delivery on demand process, meaning we don't pay cash until we get the security. So once the security hits the safekeeping and the notice is made, they reach into our account where we've told them to take it from, and they make the agreement final, and they pay them on the spot, which is great because we keep earning interest all that time. So when you're trying to invest $7 million, it's really nice to earn interest on it for 24 hours and not having to sit in a third-party safekeeping. So that's really has helped us out. We thought we were going to earn about $500,000 on our bond investments. Then we revised it after we did the investments. We thought then we would earn about $750,000, and we have topped out at about $1,061,000. So we're real pleased with those results, and we feel like a lot of it has to do with our partnerships with our banking institutions. Another thing that we have changed this year is Frost came to see us in their annual review and semi-annual review, and they suggested that we move more into an interest-bearing account scenario because interest rates were rising, and we feel like that's another way that has helped keep our interest on that money that is in there for a day, and it's helped boost our earnings. We also have what's known as analysis fees, and basically we have to leave enough money in the bank to earn a compensating balance to cover all of our costs, whether we write checks, we wire money, which we try not to do a lot, but anything that might have a fee, we can offset it if we hold enough money in there. So we're pretty good at that balance and making sure that we meet that threshold, and we haven't paid fees in probably about 2.5 years now. So that's pretty good. Some of the depository incentives, when we went out to depository bid a couple of years ago, that we look for and that is pretty standard in the industry is they normally will waive the fees either a 3-month period, 4-month period, or 6-month period. A lot of times they'll offer free check printing for you so you can get your feet on the ground because you have to order quite a few checks. Free training, free ACH and remote capture, and free equipment. So those are some of the things that we look for when we're looking for at our institutions. What are some of the must-haves that we have gotten feedback from some of these folks who work with the bank? A strong customer service opportunities, a 1-800 service line where you can call and ask questions, yearly and semi-annual meetings, community support, incentives and events, competitive interest rates, competitive compensating balance rates, strong security features in the software and the portal. So that's very important that you have like a 2-system check and balance. And the ability to answer questions when researching issues. So normally you have an employee who's asking you a question that you have to ask someone else to help you get an answer. So we appreciate a timely turnaround on those. And so that's kind of an overview of what we do with cash management. I do want to acknowledge our banking partners. We do business with Texas First and Frost and First Republic, also known as Lone Star, Texas Term, and Texas Glass, and Texas Pool. And this evening we have 2 representatives from Frost with us. I'd like to introduce Karen White. She's the Vice President of Public Finance, and Kim Duncan, who's the Vice President of Treasury Management. I think they wanted to take just a few seconds to say a few words.
Thank you, Lee and Marianne, and thank you, trustees, for inviting both of us here to visit with you for a moment. We would just like to say a great thank you for allowing Frost to serve your banking needs. We have a wonderful relationship with the school district and a wonderful relationship with the ladies in the accounting department. Our biggest support that we have or that we are proud of is our customer service. You call us, we could pick up the phone. There are no telephone trees. If Kim and myself are not there, there is another Kim Davis who will work very closely with the staff to make sure that everything is taken care of. We also would like to say thank you for allowing us to support you this last year. We did a $25,000 unrestricted contribution to support the staff, the family, and the community. And we were thrilled to have that opportunity and are excited to see the healing and to be a part of the healing. We'll also continue to support the school district through the Education Foundation throughout the year. And I'll turn it over to Kim, let her say a little bit.
Well, I just want to thank you for having us this evening. We actually are the face of a four-man team at Frost Bank that helps support this district, and that's part of a unique expertise that we have as a bank in supporting districts like yourselves, municipalities, churches, and nonprofit organizations, because we just really do dig deep and understand your business.
And with that, what I will say to add to what Kim just said, we are the only bank, I think, that has a line of business called public finance that's exclusively dedicated to nonprofits, municipalities, and school districts. We do no commercial lending. So that means that we understand your business, how you do business. We understand unrestricted and restricted funds and all your government funds. So that's a big plus for our school districts.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
And Mary Ann will continue with the details of the quarterly investment report.
So let me move this. There, okay, it's our investment report for the third quarter, from January 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2019. We have total assets of $38,735,635. All our bond investments have matured. If you look down on the first page under Frost, all the investments have matured. We've got total bond interest of $1,065,226.12. All payments from Barnett have been made in a timely manner. This pie chart here just shows the percent in each of our banking institutions. And the next graph is a bar graph that is actual dollar amounts in each fund type. Let me see if I can get that so you can see the bottom, yeah. And then the third graph is a bar chart of the percent in each type of investment. So as you see, our commercial paper has matured, so it's been down to zero now. Are there any questions?
No, ma'am.
Any questions
No,
about
sir.
or anything else that Ms. Townsend just presented?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Townsend, you have an update for the mileage trip rates.
Yes, as an information item, our Mart every year comes out with the mileage rates based on our operation cost and based on the information that we put into the TEA formula. Basically, the current trip rate, $2.50 per mile for a regular bus, will stay the same. It will be dropped to $1.50 trip if the campus staff members possessing a valid CDL or PS endorsement and an acceptable driving record does the driving. So we did have that flexibility for the campuses that are able to provide their own drivers. In addition, for the 1920 school year, we will implement a usage fee for the district-wide fleet, which we have done in the past, but this year the rate will be 25 cents per mile. And this reduced usage fee hopefully will be an incentive for the staff to use the district transportation when it's available. All tolls associated with the trip will be added to the cost of the trips.
Any questions about that? No, sir. All right. Ms. Hanser, do you have the bereavement leave update for us?
Yes, sir. Mr. Norman, as a benefit to our employees, the district grants in a school year a maximum of 3 bereavement leave days per occurrence to be used for the employee's absence due to the death of an immediate family member. And this is a benefit that, of course, we hope no one has to ever use. But as you can see on the graph and on the chart, from 2014 to the present, the number of employees that have used this benefit, utilized the benefit, and the cost to the district and the number of the days that have been used. And of course, this year is much higher than years past, but as I said before, it is a benefit that's not factored into their yearly salary, but when you do factor it in, it does allow them that opportunity to take this leave versus using their local state leave or their state personal leave. So it is a benefit for our employees, and I appreciate your continued support of that benefit.
Any questions from Ms. Hansard about that?
No, sir.
If not, how about the update on our catastrophic sick leave program?
The voluntary catastrophic sick leave program of Santa Fe Independent School District was implemented in August of 2010 and is a pool of local sick leave days contributed by personnel to be used by members of the plan who suffer a qualifying incapacitating illness or accident personally or through the illness or injury of an immediate family member, which extends beyond the state and local leave to an employee. And an employee becomes a member each year by contributing 1 local sick leave day for each year of membership. Once again, this is a chart, and it's a little bit smaller, but I know you can see it a little bit more clearly on your screen. But this is another benefit that, once again, we hope our employees do not have to utilize, but it's there for them in case that they do. And you'll notice that we have a very healthy fund balance in our ending balance in there in that account. We have over 809 days left in the balance. Over the course of the years, from 2014 to 2019, we started with 5 employees being served, and as of this year, 23 employees being served. And since Becky is still in the audience, I just want to thank her because we work together with this particular benefit and also with the bereavement as well. But I just feel like, once again, I appreciate you supporting this. Members cannot become a member without donating a local sick leave day, but it's there for them if they need it or their immediate family member needs it. So, thank you.
Any questions from Ms. Hansard about that?
No, sir.
Okay, we will move now into our consent agenda. Dr. Wall, you have some items for us?
Yes, sir. We have a few items for your consideration and approval as consent agenda this evening, including our minutes from prior meetings, accounts payable and budget amendments, student transfers per policy, as well as 2 renewal contracts, 1 for pest control services and custodial supply renewals.
I got a couple comments, or questions, really. And accounts payable, I just want to, we see some capital projects out there that are with the band, that they needed some instruments and things of that nature, but I want to at least educate myself, so if I can point me in the right direction of who I could get with to understand how their funds are being used, would help me kind of help them along, because I know that's a large population of kids from the junior high and the high school. Number 2 was the pest control services renewal. Hopefully we're past all the termites and everything else, but obviously he's shaking his head behind. So, that was it. So I'll hopefully the pest control one is under wraps, but wishful thinking as well. But I would like to know a little bit more about the least from the band side of things of the accounts payable.
Specific question you have now, or something that?
I think I understand what information he needs. We'll get it for everyone.
Thank you.
All right, what's your pleasure with the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to approve as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Any other questions or comments? Cast your votes, please. And it is passed unanimously. Thank you. All right, with that, we will move into our regular agenda. And Ms. Hansard, you have the first couple items of this policy update 113.
Yes, sir, Mr. Norman. The Commissioner of Education, within his authority and responsibilities, reviews laws and makes recommendations regarding changes in legal and local policy. So what you have before you this evening is Policy Update 113, which focuses on updating legal policies that were affected by changes in either administrative rule and or the Commissioner of Education rulings. And these are then sent to us through the Texas Association of School Boards for your review and approval. So several of these local policies have been updated as well to better align with these changes or for organization and restructuring purposes. So I'm asking that you approve Update 113 as presented.
Mr. President, I move that we approve update 113 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this update 113. Any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Would you cast your votes, please? It's passed unanimously. Okay, and you have another one with wage payments during emergency closing.
Yes, sir. This resolution would grant authority to the Santa Fe ISD Board of Trustees to authorize continued wage payments to all employees, contractual and non-contractual, salaried and non-salaried, who are instructed not to report to work during emergency closing unless the workdays are scheduled to be made up at a later date. The authority granted by this resolution to continue to pay idled employees is effective for a closure with a maximum duration of 5 days unless the board takes action to authorize payment for a longer duration. This resolution complies with policy DEA local, and once the resolution is approved, it will remain in effect on an ongoing basis and serve as authorization during future closures for employee payments that fall within the parameters of the resolution.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the resolution regarding wage payments during emergency school closing as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution on the wage payments. Any questions or comments?
Yes.
I cast your votes, please. And it has passed unanimously. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, actually, you have one more, don't you?
This is
Hospital
the last one, and I just want to remind you that this is a revised due to House Bill 3, and you did vote on this compensation plan last month. However, due to the change with House Bill 3, we must present this to you yet again. So, typically, the board approves an administrative recommendation regarding employee salaries prior to adopting the budget in June. To facilitate planning and finalization of the 2019-20 district budget, we presented a recommendation at the May board meeting, which we now seek to revise due to House Bill 3 recommendations. And we note that House Bill 3 calculations and compensation increases have yet to be fully determined. Therefore, you will hear more about this in the budget adoption item. The administrative recommendation is that the board approve the 2019-2020 district compensation plan for all employees and job families as presented. In essence, all employees will receive a 3% midpoint increase. All full-time employees identified in House Bill 3 to include full-time teachers, counselors, librarians, and registered nurses with more than 5 years of service will receive an additional 1% midpoint increase for a total of a 4% midpoint increase. Both the 3% and 4% increase, as appropriate, is inclusive of the step for his or her credible year of service, and such percentage increase is inclusive of any raise received through legislative action. That is, the percentage increase is a combined amount of any raise received from the state legislature with the rest made up by the district funds. This compensation plan also includes a retention plan for all eligible employees who meet the criteria set out in the plan.
Any questions for Ms. Hansard on that? Not, what's your pleasure?
Mr. President, I move that the board adopt the revised proposed compensation plan for the 2019-2020 school year for all employees and job families as presented as follows. All employees will receive a 3% midpoint increase. All full-time employees identified in House Bill 3 to include teachers, counselors, librarians, and registered nurses with more than 5 years of service will receive an additional 1% midpoint increase for a total of a 4% midpoint increase. Both the 3% and 4% increase, as appropriate, is inclusive for the step of his or her credible year of service. As such, percentage increase is inclusive of any raise received through legislative action. That is, the percentage of increase is a combined amount of any raise received from the state legislature, with the rest made up by district funds. This compensation plan also includes a retention plan for all eligible employees who meet the criteria set out in the plan. I further move that the board approves additional budgeted dollars as necessary in the discretion of the superintendent to meet compensation increases calculations as a result of HB 3, which have yet to be fully determined at the time of budget adoption.
Second. Can you read that one more time for me?
There, I already voted.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this session plan. Any other questions or comments? Not, would you cast your votes, please? And it is passed unanimously.
We just didn't want to hear him read it again.
Right, and well worth it.
Picking on the new guy.
Okay. Ms. Junko, we have the budget adoption for 19 and 20.
The proposed budget summary, which includes the general fund budget, debt service budget, and nutrition services budget, is presented for your review and adoption in June of each year as required by law. The attached proposed budgets show the revenue and expenditures for the 2019-2020 school year. A public hearing on the proposed 2019-2020 budget and tax rate was held earlier this evening. Administration recommends that the board approve the 2019-2020 budget as presented.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt the 2019-2020 general fund budget, debt service budget, and nutrition service budget by function as presented in the budget summary, including additional budgeted dollars, if any, as necessary in discretion of the superintendent to meet compensation increases calculations as a result of HB 3, which have yet to be fully determined at the time of the budget adoption.
Was that a second?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the general fund budget for 2019-2020. Any other questions or comments?
No, sir.
Cast your votes, please. And that's passed unanimously. Okay, you have one more on life insurance.
Yes, sir. In an effort to remain a competitive employer, Santa Fe ISD will offer a district life insurance policy for all full-time, not including substitutes or temporary employees, beginning July 1st, 2019. This policy will include a basic life insurance policy with a payout benefit to employees of $10,000 in addition to an accidental death and dismemberment rider for all full-time employees of Santa Fe ISD. The cost to the district of this additional employee benefit will not exceed $13,145 per year based on 682 employees with a 2-year guaranteed rate from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2021.
President, I make a motion, we approve the one-year service agreement with MetLife Insurance for a district-sponsored policy for each full-time employee at Santa Fe ISD from July 1st, 2019, June 30th, 2020, with the district's cost of the service being $1.61 per employee per month, or $1,095.42 per month, based on 682 employees, for a price not to exceed $13,145.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this MetLife insurance. Any other questions or comments?
No, sir.
All right, cast your votes, please. And it has passed unanimously as well. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Atkins, need to replace some light poles.
Yes, sir. So on June 5th, about 4:30 in the morning, a light pole fell down at the high school teacher parking lot. This was the second light pole we've lost in 2 years. We lost one during Harvey as well. We had Terracon come and do an evaluation of these poles back in March. We had them back out on Thursday or Wednesday after it fell to reevaluate, and they recommend that 17 poles get replaced immediately of the 32 original poles that were installed back in 99, 2000 when the school was originally built. The poles are rusting from the inside out. Their first report didn't look at the inside piece of that, so that's why they missed the recommendation of the 17 poles originally. But I am still getting vendor pricing on replacing all 32 poles at this time, but they're about an 8-week lead item, maybe a little longer, because I'm going to go with a galvanized pole instead of a black iron pole like there is now. So I want to get the jump on this, and we'll use a buy board contractor. So I've got pricing back from one, and I'm waiting on 2 other prices.
Is that gonna cause issues for start of school year?
No, it shouldn't. We took down the 2 poles that they assessed that needed immediately to be taken down on Thursday before graduation. I'm hoping if we get the other prices in a week or 2 and this gets approved, I can pull the trigger and maybe we can get them in before school starts. But if not, it'd be...
All 32 of them?
But you'll still have light poles in the event you don't. It'll
Yeah,
just be a
so
matter
we-
then of getting
yeah.
it done around
Right,
parking.
right now we're missing 3 light poles burning in the whole area. One's right by the auditorium, so it's not in a parking area. The other is in a teacher parking, so the teacher parking's covered by 1 pole instead of 3, but it's still bright enough to be safe.
No, I don't really saying that. I was thinking about the inconvenience when the kids start coming back and you do it.
If you know, and we'll work around that if we have to. If we have to do it in the afternoons or go block off some parking spots to do a group of them a day, we'll work around that.
Bob, you said you was gonna work on paying that auditor for the first audit that they did and didn't find any damage?
Yeah, so they waived. So we signed a contract with them for $10,600 for the assessment. We paid the first piece of that assessment when they came and did their walk, which was $6,100. They waived the remaining fee, so they've given us a credit for the second invoice that they had just sent me.
That was nice.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awful nice of them.
So I think you identified the method of failure in the poor installation 19 years ago or whatnot, and that's going to be corrected.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do, in the price I have right now, which is $186,000, we plan on replacing anchor bolts at 10 locations. We may have to do some more, and we have a unit cost for that. The anchor bolts on the 39-foot poles are short, so we may have to replace all those. We just grind off the ones that are there and drill new ones, and we'll raise them up and put a gap underneath the new light poles. We'll grout it, but we'll grout it with a drain, which these did not have. A couple of the poles they knocked a hole in and water poured out. Secondly, we're also going to go with galvanized poles. So these will all be hot dip galvanized, so we'll get a longer life out of them. They'll still be brown. We're still going to have them colored brown, but that way they won't be as easy to corrode. We're too close to the coast
We
not
should
to do
get
that.
40 years out of them easy.
I hope so, but on the coast, you just never know.
Never know.
One comment for the members that we talked about in Finance Committee last Thursday was that you're going to repurpose the fixtures from the current ones. And it can
Right,
be
so what we're gonna do is, we were offered a $10,000 cost savings to not replace the existing fixtures and use the existing heads off the light poles. To me, that didn't seem like a good idea. Let's go and get all new fixtures. The fixtures in there now, the fixtures are 20 years old, but the lights that are in there are only 4.5 years old because we did them as part of a lighting retrofit. They have a transformer in there, and they're in our 277 volt light. We're going to hold those lights back and be able to use those in different places here as we salvage those. So, but we won't have to use the transformers because that's the only place we have 480 volt light poles.
So are those currently all LED or?
Yeah, they're currently LED, but the new LED lighting we're looking at is even more efficient, somewhat more efficient and brighter. So what we've gotten priced by the one vendor is almost double the lumens and 50 less watts per fixture.
What's the purpose of putting them brown versus leaving them galvanized?
Just because we're going to have 4 poles that are existing that are already brown, so just aesthetics.
They need to match, Clay.
I'm just curious how they're gonna get the stick to galvanizing. Paint galvanizing, it comes off,
Right.
peels off. It's gonna look worse than when it
I'm
does.
thinking they're going to, I asked them for a powder coated, so galvanized and powder coated, so hopefully we'll get a little bit better shot with that.
Yeah. Any other questions for Bob?
Mr. President, I make a motion, we approve the purchase of services, replace 32 light poles at the high school parking lot for an amount not to exceed of $200,000.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we replace the 32 poles at the high school. Any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, cast your votes, please. And it has passed unanimously.
What's the additional cost?
All right, what about Snyder Electric?
Get all
The other
those.
4,
Yeah,
all the 4 poles,
yeah, replace the 4 too.
Replace what?
the other 4.
Oh, well, they were put in when the auditorium was built, so they're less than 10 years old. They're only about 8 years old. That's why we didn't replace them all. So,
Stick them in the junior high.
okay, Snyder Electric, this is the annual service agreement we've done with them year after year since 2000 and probably 10 or 11, maybe 12. This is, they come out and they do continuous commissioning and then help us troubleshoot problems in our control system district-wide. We utilize them to help us find problems that we can't fix in-house, and we've got some pretty talented guys on staff that can fix a lot of this in-house, but they still help us troubleshoot some of that. I'm looking at another piece of this that actually will monitor all of our controls, including our other party controls, and help identify things that are running too long or maybe running at higher amps on motors that shouldn't be and stuff like that. I don't have a price for that yet, and we're evaluating that to see if it's going to be cost effective. But this is our standard continuous commissioning project. This is covered on my budget every year in the maintenance budget, and we feel like we get good value out of this by not having a bunch of extra service calls throughout the year.
Any questions?
Mr. President, I make a motion we approve Snyder Electric to provide professional services at a cost not to exceed $28,125 for year 1.
I second it.
There you go. Good job, baby.
Yeah, would like to point out that this is no relation to you.
No,
Mr. Snyder.
none. Spelled different. Don't know the people at all. Let's get that straight now.
Okay,
I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking the same thing.
it's been moved and seconded we approve this professional service contract with Snyder Electric. Any other questions? All right, cast your votes, please.
I didn't think about
And
that.
it has passed
Since I saw the
unanimously.
name of
Thank
the-
you.
Man, this might not be good.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, Dr. Schuman, we have the low attendance waiver for the junior high on May the 17th.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Norman. A low attendance day expedited waiver allows the district to request that any instructional day with attendance at least 10 percentage points below the last school year's average daily attendance due to inclement weather, health, safety-related, or other issues be excused from ADA calculations for the current school year, and that's per the Student Attendance Accounting Handbook. For audit purposes, specific written TEA approval is required for the day to be excluded from the ADA calculations. Santa Fe Junior High's ADA for 2017-18 was 94.91%. And on May 17th, 2019, due to student choice of participation on the Day of Remembrance and Resilience, Santa Fe Junior High's ADA dropped to 81.91%. Because the ADA on May 17th was more than 10 percentage points lower than the prior year's average, this allows for submission of a low attendance day waiver. The submission of this waiver requires the approval of the Board of Trustees, so I'm requesting that you approve the submission of a low attendance day waiver.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the submission of a TA low attendance day expedited waiver for the Santa Fe Junior High for May 17, 2019, based on a low ADA 81.91% as the day's ADA is more than 10 percentage points lower than last year's ADA.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this low attendance submission. Any other questions? Not cast your votes, please. And it has passed unanimously. Dr. Schumann, we have one more with the CareDocs Healthy Schools Free Immunization Program.
Yes, sir, Mr. Norman. This is a benefit that we're hoping the board approves for free immunizations for our students. CareDocs' mission is to improve children's health with technology and access to healthcare services that efficiently connects the right care at the right time. Health Schools LLC, a CareDocs company, promotes the health of children by administering vaccines, including flu and Tdap, at school through public-private partnerships with school districts and departments of public health. They are currently serving 1.5 million students in Florida and 400,000 students in Texas. Flu shots and adolescent vaccinations are provided to students at no cost to public school districts and are provided for all children in the district regardless of their insurance status. The healthcare services are provided by state-certified registered nurses and are assisted by LPNs and LVNs. Health Schools provides all the staffing, vaccines, consents, scheduling, state health immunization submissions, and student health record management. CareDocs is reimbursed by insurance companies for providing student health record management. CareDocs is this enables CareDocs to provide preventative health care services for all students at no cost to public schools. And so this is something that would be beneficial to both parents and students because immunizations are something, children are encouraged to keep up to date, and this would allow that to happen on campus per parent approval.
And I know the answers to these questions because I've already read all this and researched it, but I think it's important that it be discussed publicly that, none of these immunizations are required. We're not requiring any of those things. There's multiple forms of parental consent in here. What else? Yeah, there's multiple ways that parents are notified. Verification when the student comes in. So that's just a couple of the things, few of the things I wanted to bring up.
And the only way that a child would receive a vaccination is with documentation from that parent for parent approval. But all children would have access to it.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Not, what's your pleasure?
Mr. President, I make a motion to review and approve Santa Fe ISD's participation in the agreement with CareDocs Healthy Schools to enable CareDocs Healthy Schools to provide no-cost flu shots and immunizations to Santa Fe ISD students at each of the Santa Fe ISD campuses.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the participation in the CareDocs Healthy Schools program. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Not cast your votes, please. Has passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that will do it for our regular agenda, so we will now move into our public forum. Board policy provides time at each regular board meeting for the public and employees to appear before the board to discuss matters concerning their interest. Time of 30 minutes has been allotted for those who wish to address the board. According to policy, persons must sign up by the Thursday prior to the board meeting will be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes each. Delegations of more than 3 persons shall appoint 1 person to present their views before the board. We've set some guidelines to assure that this process is effective. The board respectfully requires names of district personnel and or students not be used during the address. Unless you're speaking for a delegation, only 1 person may stand at or near the podium during any presentation, except a parent and child or spouses may stand together. If you're speaking for a delegation, only 1 person from the delegation may speak during the meeting. The person who has signed up to speak is the person who must speak. No speaker may yield their time to any other person. During your 3 minutes, you'll be given a time notice when there are 30 seconds remaining. At 3 minutes, you will be asked to stop. We ask you to respectfully stop at that time. If you do not stop, you'll be asked to stop again. If you still fail to stop, the board will seek assistance in removing you from the podium so that the meeting may continue. No action may be taken on anything presented to the board at this time. However, board members have the option to request that the matter discussed be placed on the agenda for a future board meeting. In addition, should you have a complaint that you desire investigated, the board encourages you to follow board policy F&G for parents and students, DGBA for employees, and GF for the public. These are the district's complaint policies available to those who wish to redress grievances. We thank you for participation in this important part of the meeting, and we ask that our guidelines be followed that we can continue offering this opportunity to participate. And tonight, we have none. So with that, we will now move to board communication. And Ms. Hansard, I will start with you.
Okay, just a couple of things. Just to let you know, our summer camps are going on with students, our student summer camps, and summer school is in full swing. We're also, along with collaborating with May Bruce Library, our librarians have encouraged the summer reading program. So if you haven't taken your students out there or your children, make sure that they go visit the library. And then once again, just mark your calendars, but closer to that time, you're going to receive an invitation, but August 9th is going to be the dedication at 5 p.m. for William F. Barnett Elementary.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Townsend, you have anything else?
Just wish everyone a great week and happy summer.
Mr. Snyder?
Thanks for that explanation. I'm going to talk to you more about all the numbers and all that. But these 2 ladies here, thank y'all for coming out. Thank you for everybody that does make sure these hardworking people get paid. We're not paid. They are. Thank y'all for everything y'all do. You have a great summer. Gigamax. That's all I got to say. Go. I had to put it out there, man. I'm a proud daddy. I don't care.
He's already Ms. Hanson, I went ahead and scheduled my appointment today to go visit the new elementary, so.
Good job.
Did that.
I haven't.
But I'd like to echo Ms. Townsend, thank you for presenting today. It was good, and it's an essential part of the school, and thank you, team, for what y'all are doing, for being here. And y'all from Frost, we've heard good things about y'all's relationship, so thank y'all too. And thanking them mostly because they presented tonight, but also want to thank everybody. Continue to do what you do, and hope y'all are having a good summer.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Schumann?
I just wanted to say how proud of our seniors I was at graduation. I thought it was very honoring. I thought the way that students who had passed away were honored that evening and remembered was very respectful, and it showed the loving kindness of the student body, and I was just very proud of our kids, and thank you, Rachel, for your leadership in that event. I thought it was a wonderful evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Logan?
I'd also like to thank everybody for being here this evening. Y'all have a great summer, and I know vacation's coming up, so everybody be safe on their trips out there. But thank y'all.
Mr. Rasmuck?
I'm gonna pull a Hurtenberger and just say thank you and have a safe trip home.
So Clay, the pressure's on.
Now what are you gonna do, buddy?
Ditto. Thank y'all.
He still says less.
Mr. Davenport?
Saved it all for you.
Thank you to, yeah. Thank you to Frost Bank for being here. Thank you to the business office and everybody else that's in attendance. And y'all have a wonderful week.
Dr. Wall?
Talk about legislative pieces, okay. So just to note on the agenda, to appreciate our board and their focus on, of course, our students, but also our staff. We approved a compensation plan with compensation increases for our employees. You heard about a bereavement benefit. You also heard about a catastrophic benefit. They also approved a insurance policy, which is an additional benefit for our employees. In addition to that, we have our employee assistance program, which has also been added this year, as well as the Ready Made Clinic. So all of those are additional benefits for employees to let you know how much you're appreciated. And thank you all. And thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Wall. And thanks to everyone for all that you've done. You know, we ended the year on a really fast pace, really good note. Graduation, as Dr. Schumann alluded to, went off about as well as I think you could have it. And we've got a good start into the summer, and you know, able to focus now on moving forward and improving on a lot of things that we put in place, both in safety and security, in our accountability, all across the board. We've got a lot going on. Can't say enough for the folks over here that keep up with those finances, and I want to thank Ms. Townsend and everyone for the budget workshop we had earlier, which was quite informative, and then with your presentation tonight, because you know, when you're dealing with tax dollars, people like to know that their money is being well spent and it's being taken care of. Little update. We don't have a lot yet, but you know, we've talked a lot about the legislative session, and that's over. And we are proud to announce that we think we did some good for schools, and we think we did some good for Santa Fe ISD. The state has passed one bill that has made available $10.9 million, and the way it's written, the only school that can get it is Santa Fe ISD. Now, there's some things attached to that. They're not just right now writing us a check for $10.9 million. There's some things that we can spend that on, and that's a learning process right now. I know you'll spent some time talking to the folks about how this is going to take place, but so that gives us something to start working on for things like rebuilding the impacted parts of the high school and things that had to change because of the tragedy, and maybe even repaying ourselves for some of the things that we pulled out of fund balance, so we can prioritize that money to go to some other things. So a lot working there. In addition, there are a couple of bills that have $100 million numbers out there for public education, to which we will be actively working to see what we may qualify for. And then there are some bills that money can be reoccurring every 2 years. So there's some things out there. We passed a budget tonight. We did a thing with pay raises, and I wish I understood all that, but I really don't. And I know it's tough for employees, but we tried to make it as informative as we could, and I think even through the way the motions were worded tonight, to help people understand that we're doing everything that we can based on what we know about HB3 and some other things like that. So those numbers may still change just a little bit, but at least now we have some idea of what we have to work with. There are some other things out there that changes in the ADA amount and some other funding like that you know, we'll be getting more information on, more understanding on. Ms. Townsend will be putting all that in the budgets, and we'll continue to work. But we're not going to sit back and wait anymore. We now have some idea of what we have to work with. We'll be looking at things like having the architects start. They've already done some work, but now we have some firmer numbers to work with on what we may or may not do at the high school with the art rooms that were impacted, that hallway, and some other areas that we had to move around. So we can now start working on some of those things. A lot of safety and security stuff still being discussed, and we'll continue to discuss that. things around the wellness counselors and all that. We hope that the money that we're now getting is going to help us to continue a lot of those programs for many years to come. So we will update you when we know, with the best of what we know. But we felt confident tonight moving forward with the compensation plan change to try to address what we think HB3 and the other bills will be covering, and we'll just continue to work with that. And with that, I hope each and every one of you have a productive summer, and I hope you get some rest somewhere in there, and looking forward to great things for the future. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. If you are ready to adjourn, please raise your hand. Thank you all. Thank you very much, folks.
What was the